Okay, so, how do you make a Nerdwriter video? Well, first you gotta get real up close and personal with your microphone, start talking in a weird Christopher Walken-esque cadence. Add some footage, slap some super sexy animations of stuff, and then bada bing bada boom, 2.5 million subscribers, congratulations, easy money, 1 mile. Okay, you called my bluff. That was a joke. Okay, let's start over. Blah 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 blah. Okay, stop. So, for those of you who have been living under a rock for the last decade on YouTube and have no clue who the Nerdwriter is, well, he's what's called a video essayist. And if you don't know what a video essay is, well, you're watching one right now. It's essentially a reflection on some topic through video. It tries to bring to light something about a film or a song or cultural trend that you didn't know or realize before. And the Nerdwriter's video essays in particular have for years been the de facto standard for what makes a good and engaging video essay. It's a model that has been emulated and expanded upon by a multitude of different channels throughout the years, me included. And that's because, as far as I can tell, he's been doing this far longer than anyone else has. For context, about 4.5 years ago he announced his Patreon, which alone is older than most other similar channels have even been around for. Again, me included. And if you watch his videos, it's easy to see why people like them. Not only is there a certain sense of delight in feeling like you're learning something new, but the fluid and pretty visuals also provide plenty of eye candy to keep your senses stimulated. All this, along with his choice of music and sound effects, allow you to feel completely immersed in his analytical vision, in a way that is significantly more digestible than, for example, an article from an academic journal. But let's stop beating around the bush. What really gives a Nerdwriter video its trademark Nerdwriterness? Well, I found two main factors that contribute to his overall video making formula. First, the overall structure of his video essays, and second, how he stylizes his videos, both in his writing and editing. First, let's start with how he analyzes media. His bread and butter for video essays is analyzing TV shows and films. More than half of his videos over the past 3 years have examined pieces from these forms of media alone, but every once in a while he also delves into things like politics, economics, and technology. And what he usually focuses on discussing in his videos are the technical aspects of the piece of media he's analyzing. Imagine that the Nerdwriter is a watchmaker, and he opens up the piece of media he's analyzing like a clock to show us its innards and what makes it tick. For example, why is Ian McKellen such a great actor? Because he can effectively relay emotional gravity with his eyes. Why is David Fincher's style unique? Because each shot is carefully choreographed to match the character's movements in a way that seems like he's hacking your brain. How did Michael Jackson craft his first solo hit? By implementing disco-inspired rhythms and instrumentation. Now you might say, duh, this is a stupid realization you had, onesie two. In order to analyze anything, you have to break it down one way or another. And while that may be true, there's more to it than that. A useful tool to help understand how the Nerdwriter thinks is, I feel, Aristotle's 4 causes. Aristotle originally came up with these 4 causes as a way to identify the different ways you can explain why something is the way it is. According to Aristotle, you can answer this question by addressing the material cause, literally the matter which is made out of, the formal cause, the form, shape, or appearance a thing takes, the efficient cause, which is what we typically think of as a cause, what agent made this thing into being, and the final cause, the telos, a thing's ultimate purpose. And while the Nerdwriter may bounce around from one of these to another, or not hit on every single one of them, I believe he still employs these causes in his analysis of media, at least subconsciously, in order to maintain an air of objectivity. And you can see this in almost all of his videos, this focus on explaining things through causality. Whenever he gives historical context, that's essentially tracing back efficient causes. Whenever he points out how a scene was shot, or the layout of a painting, i.e. technical details, that's essentially talking about the matter and form. And when he explains the impact this has on an audience, or a reader, or listener, or whoever, that's its purpose, its final cause. When a balance among all of these is struck in a video, it's truly a joy to watch. But sometimes even he can slip up. In his own words, the purpose of his videos is simply to make an argument. And he does this by identifying a pattern and then discussing what it means. But sometimes the script can be kind of one-sided. Take his video, Harry Potter, What Magic Sounds Like. This video, while interesting, doesn't really argue anything other than that sound design is important, which isn't anything revolutionary as far as talking about film goes. The video, though, acts more like a catalog, in that he traces how the sounds of Harry Potter have evolved over the series' history. In these sorts of videos, the purpose no longer really is about finding meaning in the work, but rather it's about drawing attention to a pattern he sees in order to foster appreciation for it, or in other cases, denounce it. However, by looking at different media through this lens, there are certain types of analyses that you won't see. Things like a proper review, or certain types of interpretive analysis, for example applying feminist or Marxist theory to a film. Most of his videos in this way rely on either formalism or historicism to hold up analytically. And I apologize if it sounds like I'm trying to deflate the value in this style of video. Like I said before, I'm essentially more or less doing the exact same thing right now, and when it's done well, it leads to an incredibly impactful video. And the crazy thing is that all of his videos are only 5 to 10 minutes long, perfectly bite-sized content. Now, analysis and structure are incredibly important when it comes to video essays, otherwise they'd just be, well, videos minus the essay. But while his analyses are the backbone of his content, what really makes him stand out among content creators is his style. And this, I would argue, is the most sought after and imitated aspect of his work. One thing he always loves to do is to elevate his analysis into its own sort of poetry, usually through the use of figurative language.
Discovered in the dark as if by some explorer with a torch who wandered into the wrong cave. Second room, which is raised a few steps like a stage. This way, there's just enough room to put your own life into Hopper's work.
This buttery language, in conjunction with the deep, rich tones of his voice, recorded on what I assume is some sort of condenser microphone, make the video feel like a story of its own. And then there's the visuals. Usually the Nerdwriter, when discussing film or TV, just cuts to various shots or sequences to reinforce what he's saying and maintain visual interest. However, when he doesn't have something to cut to, he animates text or pictures or video to generate this visual interest. When moving things in and out, he doesn't keyframe them linearly, but exponentially using an S-curve, so that the content eases in and out as it moves across the screen. And then the text itself, with particular attention paid to things like choice of typeface, font style, and color, can either be used to reinforce what's being said or visually supplement the video with additional information. Typically, he stylizes the video all in their own unique way, branding them with type, media, and animations that complement the topic of the video. So while how the elements look varies from video to video, the elements themselves and how they're used remain consistent. And then he adds some quirky fun music as needed, usually lo-fi, late rock, or something a little jazzy, or in the case that he's analyzing a song, just the song. So what's the point of doing all this stylistic work if people can get the point of what you're saying without it? Well, this goes back to the immersion in his analytical vision I mentioned before. The script itself conveys, rationally based analysis, but his style augments this analysis slightly, adding a layer of emotion and personality to the video. In other words, in his videos, you're made to both think and feel. And then there are sometimes moments where the editing, text, script, music, all these things, come together to fool the listener and to make a really magical moment. Like in this clip from one of my favorite videos of his analysis of Bon Iver's Holocene.
It's the rhythm of the song, played on an instrument that doesn't normally carry that responsibility, a finger-picked acoustic guitar. 2 acoustic guitars, in fact, panned back and forth. This hypnotic rhythm is the first technique of many that Justin Vernon uses to disorient the listener in Holocene. Of course, you probably don't feel disoriented. It's a disorientation that Vernon doesn't want you to notice, just like you might not have noticed that I changed the direction of the snow.
And well, that's just about it. Add an outro explaining what the thing you're talking about personally means to you, and then maybe add a Squarespace ad, and well, that's more or less the Nerdwriter's videos boiled down to their base components. And now that I've gone through everything, I feel like this is warranted. Bada bing, bada boom, 2.5 million subscribers, easy money. Okay, fine, I'll do a normal closer. This has been 1C2. Thanks for watching. Howdy again, folks. Thanks again for watching. This video took much more time than usual, but it was still quite a fun time to make it, so I hope you enjoyed. I'd like to thank my friends Aiden Martin and Cornboy for their incredible musical contributions to this video. Links to their SoundClouds in the description if you want to hear more of what they've done. And I guess I want to thank the Nerdwriter himself for some of my favorite memories watching YouTube in general. So, Evan, if you're watching, I know that you're obviously a far better essayist than I, but thanks for doing what you do, and hopefully you don't find any of my criticisms too harsh. I'm also setting up a Twitter, so if you want to give me a follow, link to that is also in the description. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Thank you all for watching again, and I shall see you again soon.